Hi. Um, so I've come with a kind of really weird video for me to make, but I feel like for some reason I'm feeling drawn to doing this right now. Many of you might have seen either on Instagram, although I really like only posted something very small about it on my story, but also I wrote here on my community board that my father passed away on Tuesday evening. It's Sunday now. So my whole life has really like flipped upside down, and I'm really there are no words to really say what I'm feeling. I don't even know what I'm feeling, and I don't know why I'm speaking about it on the internet. But actually, I'm wondering about this booktube, and it might also give me something nice to think about and um, focus on. I'm in like the deepest shock of my whole life, and if any of you have lost a parent, I'm sure you know the feeling, or have lost anyone in your life. I mean, I definitely didn't think that I would be 26 and lose my parent. So it's just really hard to comprehend everything. But as I've been thinking, obviously, a lot about my dad, and thank you for everyone who sent me messages. It's weird for me to film this because, in a way, I'm like, you're filming a video right now. Like, shouldn't you be, just resting or taking time? But in a way, that's all I'm doing is taking time right now. And my dad loved books. Like, he really loved books, and he loved poetry. So I felt just like making this video when actually I can't even answer any messages on my phone from people. It's weird that this somehow I can manage to do, but answering like personal messages, it's too hard for me right now. So anyways, as I was going through my father's belongings and clothes and such, of course, I look at the bookshelves, and there was a stack behind his bed of these poetry books. And of course, if there's anything that I want to take back with me after I leave here, it's books of his. So I thought that I would just make a video about the kind of like books that my dad left behind. That also says a lot about him, and says a lot about different things that we shared together. And they're all poetry, all 5 of them. I feel like, as weird as it is to be filming a video right now, and to like, as I'm filming it, I'm thinking about like, you're really gonna post this on the internet, in this time. But it's also sort of a way of honoring him. And I do feel like I'm capable in this moment, in this 5 minutes it's been so far filming this, that I am able to speak and not lose my mind. So this is my way of honoring him, I guess, to talk about books that he loved. So the first one is selected poems by W.B. Yeats. Yeats is an Irish poet and draws a lot of inspiration from Irish folklore and Celtic ideas in his writing. Apparently, he just ordered this book, and my cousin was just visiting them, and he brought it with him. So I'm not sure he got to read this, actually. These are selected poems. 1889 to 1938. So I think I'm gonna do a reading of some of these poems on my Patreon. If you want to dive into them with me, then I'm planning to do that at some point. Okay, next we get to Sharon Olds, who I've spoke about before, and when I think about my dad and I think about literature or I think about my love for poetry, it all comes from him, and Sharon Olds is our favorite poet, which I know of because of him. And she was the teacher of Ocean Vuong. If you're not familiar with Sharon Olds' poetry, I definitely suggest you look into some of her work. Stag's Leap, I've spoken about before as one of my favorite poetry collections. I mean, her poetry is so visceral and raw that if you're not prepared for it in the right moment, it can be devastating. And Stag's Leap is about her divorce and her separation from her husband. And I've wept reading that book. So anyway, this is The Wellspring, poems by Sharon Olds. I remember this book, or was it another Sharon Olds? I think it was this one. This was in my childhood home when I was growing up. When was this originally published? Let's see. 1995. I was born in 96. Sharon Olds' dazzling new collection is a sequence of poems that reaches into the very wellspring of life. The poems take us back to the womb, and from there on to childhood, to a searing sexual awakening, to the shock of childbirth, to the wonder and humor of parenthood, and finally to the depths of adult love. Always bold, musical, honest, these poems plunge us into the essence of experience. This is a highly charged, beautifully organized collection from one of the finest poets writing today. This is published by Knopf. It really touches my heart to be able to have this book. And, you know, I mean, when you lose someone, I guess you look for them in objects and things, and there couldn't be, I think, another object that would remind me more of him. So that's The Wellspring. Another Sharon Olds, which I don't know this one, is One Secret Thing. When was this published? 2008. It's also by Knopf. In One Secret Thing, her 9th collection, Sharon Olds completes her cycle of family poems. The book opens with a poem in 12 parts, which focuses on fearsome images of war. This vision of strife between nations is followed by indelible new poems of conflict within a family. Here are poems of home in which anger, joy, danger, and desire sing together with lyric energy, sometimes comic, sometimes with unblinking forgiveness. The collection in its entirety is intense and harmonic, moving from minor key to major to minor, and it is rich with a level of self-awareness and irony new in Olds' work. One Secret Thing is a double portrait of a child and a difficult parent. As the book unfolds, the portrait of the mother goes through a moving revisioning. One Secret Thing culminates in a series of elegies of hard-won mourning. Throughout, the poems are shot through with Olds' characteristic passion, zany imagination, and poetic power. I wonder if there's an elegy for her father. I didn't leave this one behind, but I went on my Kindle and I looked up Sharon Olds' poetry to see kind of what other collections I have, and I didn't have it at the time, but I saw she has a collection called The Father, which is about her father and his life and also his passing. I felt that it would be fitting that I have it, so I bought that one. And then 2 more. This one's fairly new. I think he must have seen it somewhere, or he loved to follow like new releases of books. This was from 2020. This is Ledger, poems by Jane Hirshfield. Jane Hirshfield is an author of 9 books of poetry. Ledger's pages hold the most important and masterly work yet by Jane Hirshfield, one of our most celebrated contemporary poets. From the already much quoted opening lines of despair and defiance, quote, "Let them not say, we did not see it, we saw," end quote. Hirshfield's poems inscribe a registry, both personal and communal, of our present-day predicaments. They call us to deepen dimensions of thought, feeling, and action. They summon our responsibility to sustain one another and the earth while pondering acutely and tenderly the crises of refugees, justice, and climate. They consider the minimum mass for a whale, for a language, an ice cap, recognize the intimacies of connection, and meditate upon doubt and contentment. A library book with previously dog-eared corners, the hunger for surprise, and the debt we owe this world's continuing beauty. That's a lot. Hirschfield's signature alloy of fact and imagination, clarity and mystery, inquiry, observation, and embodied emotion has created a book of indispensable poems tuned toward issues of consequence to all who share this world's current and future fate. Great. I mean, I'm not familiar with her, and my dad had great taste. So I'm sure that this will be lovely. And then I was like, Dad, I'm so happy that you have this book because I've been wanting to read Mary Ruffle, Trances of the Blast. This is a great cover. I think this is out by Wave Books. Yeah, this is Wave Books. It is a poetry printing press out of Seattle, and they might also be out of New York, but Seattle mostly. This is copyright 2013. I don't think there's any information on this book. I'm familiar with her book Madness, Rack and Honey, Collected Lectures, and also more of her other poetry, but I have yet to read any. So I'm really, really excited to read this. Yeah, so I don't know how to describe this book to you because I haven't read it, and there's no blurb whatsoever, which I also think is kind of nice because in a way with poetry, how are you to describe it always? Okay, I made it through that. Yeah, I guess from this point on, I'll be balancing how, like, when it feels right to, we'll do anything in life, to be honest. But especially with this, in a way, it's something I really love to do. So when it feels right, I guess I should do it, but also not push myself when it feels wrong. So if there's something I love to talk about, it's like how much my dad loved poetry. So the fact that I can have these and it's an excuse to talk to you about him and about them, then I think that's great. I think we can see here that my reading taste is very much built by that man, my father. Love you all. Thank you again for your support, and I'm sorry if I didn't answer your message, but I feel surrounded by a lot of love, and someone commented on my community board like that this is really a community, like the book community is really a community, and I really feel that, and I think that I don't take that for granted at all, that I have this beautiful community during this time among the most amazing people I have in my life. Really, I'm so grateful. So thank you. And hug the people you love, okay? Bye.